I know that you're all very disappointed. You expected more of me. You expected me to only make useless, silly shenanigans. But I have made something useful. Horrible, I know. But basically, this is a to the tunnel bore, or a bottom trencher. It sends out a 2D plane of TNT to explode, well, a 2D tunnel, which looks a bit like this. Which, yeah, it is useful for making quarries as the bottom trench, or if you just want to like dig out a tunnel for some reason, mine some diamonds, I don't know. But basically, the way it works is that it first accelerates the TNT, which we will get into later. But no, actually we'll get into it now. First accelerates the TNT. So here, the payload TNT is spawned, with one being spawned in lazy loader chunks. This one is has 1 tick longer fuse time, and is the item clearing TNT. So if you for some reason don't want to clear items, which would lag quite a lot, you can simply remove this TNT and replace it with like a red glass or something. But we do want to clear items, so we will keep it here. But this TNT gets sent down here and pushed into lazy loader chunks. Then it gets pushed down once, and then again, where it gets accelerated by the acceleration TNT, which gets sent down here. I can show how it all looks after I explain the alignment. After it has gotten its forwards momentum, where every batch will have a different amount of momentum, because basically one batch gets added, accelerated, one batch gets added, they both get accelerated, one batch gets added, all three get accelerated. So the first one to spawn in gets accelerated by every axle TNT, while the second one gets accelerated by one less. The next one gets accelerated by one less, the next one gets accelerated by one less. Simple. Then, when they're done accelerating, they get moved here, which starts this timer. This timer accounts for how far they will get accelerated in that direction, and every time it runs, it decreases, or in the 2.0 version, it increases. Doesn't really matter. What matters is that it becomes different rows. So while they are here, the forward accel TNT still keeps getting spawned, so the next row gets accelerated in parallel. And then when it is done, as you see, it gets moved down here. This counter gets incremented for the simple reason that the next time we do this, it gets moved to a different location. The order is actually very important because the furthest away TNT will get sent out first, which means that they won't collide with already loaded chunks, because it takes more than a game tick to unload a previous chunk. Although that might break when it's really laggy, I am unsure. But another interesting thing here is that it actually gets one ticked forward. So instead of moving one block, which would place it like firmly over here, it gets moved half a block. Yeah, as you see, this piston gets not quite 0 ticked, but 1 ticked, which is done with this 1 tick generator. Very simple, very nice. Which aligns it perfectly to then be stack separated. By this thing, where I placed one of the observers wrong. By this thing, which simply separates them. I guess I gotta load it in properly. And all the separators are offset by 1 tick. So they get sent out on different game ticks. I quite like how this separator works. Because basically, it pushes forward due to piston update order. Which I guess we can see here. The fence gate gets placed first, which means that it notices that it should be open due to this redstone. Then the rail is placed, which redirects this redstone, which makes the fence gate technically unpowered, although it does not realize that it's unpowered until it gets updated by the pressure plate, which is what makes the stack separation. And then since the TNT is in the fence gate, it gets pulled back into a loaded chunk. And now, as promised, I can show the thing running. If I just remove the safeties and go into spectator. The TNT gets pushed into unloaded chunks and then gets pushed down twice. And while it is working, it also gets accelerated, as I explained prior. Although you can't see it because client desync, whatever. The only difference between the 1.0 version and 1.2 version is that instead of having 1 row per separator, you split up the row using separator entities, which are these TNT minecarts. That machine is not gonna blow up because I don't have explosions on. So basically, if you summon a bit of TNT, where the hell am I gonna place this command block? Damn. Very impromptu, as all Dr. Tid videos should be. So, if I summon some TNT, then I place a TNT minecart. Then I summon some more TNT, spawn another TNT minecart, some more TNT, another TNT minecart. Then I have to go into spectator because minecart is very janky. Minecarts are very janky. It is the same as on the 1.0 version, basically a double piston extender that's 0 ticks. Another funny note, which I almost forgot, is that when a minecart is summoned, it is summoned with an offset. So if we look at this hitbox, which is easier, it is not aligned, and it does not matter how the rail is rotated because it never gets loaded and it only snaps when it's loaded. So instead we have this piston that pushes it so that it gets aligned so that it can get float aligned later. But basically, same as before, it gets placed here and then there is a counter that goes up instead of down this time. And when the counter is done, instead of just pushing everything down, it gets pushed down to the stack separators eventually. Yeah. And now it is a bit hard to see, especially since if I enable entities, the cards don't render correctly. But basically, one cart is down here, while all the others are up here. And every TNT that got spawned before the cart is down here, while every TNT that got spawned after the cart is up here. Which means that 1/6 of the TNT is going down, while the rest waits until the next separation. And the cart gets recycled. It simply gets yoinked here. And now it just falls down, but if it was a real demonstration, it would have enough velocity to just go into the cactus. I broke something, doesn't matter. That's enough velocity to just go into the cactus and break as an item. While the TNT just gets into one of the stack separators, which work the exact same way as before. It just gets float aligned in a slightly different way. But yeah, that's basically the only useful things I have made. I hope to never make something useful again. I wanna go back to my silly minigame shenanigans. But yeah, it also gets one-ticked, although the one-tick is slightly different because the timings are different because shenanigans. Yeah, that's basically it. My very funny and very fast, about 300,000 square meters per hour, lazy axle tunnel bore. The CHRONOBORE.